My parents didn't invite me to Christmas dinner in my house, saying, it's a family-only event. When I showed up anyway, I overheard my mom laugh. She signed the papers, but this house is ours now. So I gave them a holiday surprise they never expected. I, 34 female, bought a house 3 years ago in Portland, Oregon. It's not some big mansion, but it's mine, or at least, I thought it was. I've worked in corporate accounting for over a decade, and after years of budgeting, sacrificing vacations, and eating way too much ramen, I finally scraped together enough for a down payment on a 3-bedroom home. It felt like the biggest achievement of my life. My name was on the deed, and for the first time, I had something that was truly mine. My relationship with my parents has always been a little weird. They never really saw me the same way they saw my younger brother, Aaron. He could do no wrong. Even when he was in debt, unemployed, or bouncing between girlfriends and couches, they always called him free-spirited. Meanwhile, I was the one who graduated early, helped with bills, and paid off my student loans. I was responsible, which apparently translated to, you're fine on your own. They rarely offered help, but they were always happy to take credit for how I turned out. When I bought my house, they suddenly became more involved. They were at every furniture delivery. My mom offered to help with the decor. My dad wanted to install shelves and ceiling fans. At first, I thought they were just proud. Looking back now, I see it for what it really was: control. Slow, creeping control. Things took a strange turn about 1.5 years ago. My parents brought up family trusts. Said they'd talked to a lawyer friend who told them it would help protect the house from lawsuits or financial predators, especially since I was still single with no kids. It sounded odd, but they presented it like a protective thing. They made it sound like a safety net. I asked questions, but my mom laughed them off. It's just boring paperwork. Legal stuff you don't need to stress about. We'll take care of it, just sign here. I was tired from work that day. We were doing month-end reports, and I hadn't slept much. I signed. They filed everything. The house was now under the Martin Family Living Trust, with me and my parents as co-trustees. But they made sure the paperwork had a clause saying they could assume full control in cases of medical, emotional, or financial instability. They made it seem like a formality. I didn't know what they were really planning. Fast forward to this last Christmas. We've had a weird few months. My parents started acting distant. I figured they were just busy with Aaron and his new girlfriend. I texted my mom in early December to ask if we were doing Christmas at my place like usual. She replied with, we're keeping it small this year. Just family. I stared at that message for a while. So I called her. Asked what just family meant. She said it was going to be her, dad, Aaron, and maybe Aaron's girlfriend if she could make it. She said, you've been so busy lately. We figured you'd want a break. I said, so you're having Christmas dinner, without me? She said it wasn't like that, and I was overreacting. I was stunned. I didn't say much after that. Just ended the call. I thought maybe they were going out of town or doing something at a restaurant. I figured they'd come around. That's when Carol, my next-door neighbor, called me. Carol is one of those older women who sees everything from her window. She's nosy, but she means well. She called and said, hey, Sarah, are you back in town? I saw your family going in and out of your house all afternoon. They were unloading groceries. I said, my house. She said, yeah, your folks. A younger guy too, your brother, I assume. Are you doing something special? My heart dropped. I told her I wasn't there and didn't know they were even in town. She went quiet. Then she said, well, honey, I think they're planning something. They've been decorating. There's a Christmas tree up in the living room window. I thanked her and hung up. I felt sick. So I drove back that night. I didn't tell anyone. I parked a street over, walked around the block, and let myself in through the back gate. I still had my key. The house was lit up like a Hallmark movie. Music playing. I could hear laughter. I crept through the backyard and stood near the kitchen window. That's when I heard it. My mom's voice. She actually signed the papers. This house is basically ours now. She has no clue. Then laughter. My dad, Aaron, all laughing. She's not even invited tonight, my mom said. Not until we get the locks changed. My dad chuckled. Well, she's got her job. She'll be fine. Then Aaron, we should get a dog. I've always wanted one. I felt like the ground dropped beneath me. They weren't just celebrating Christmas. They were celebrating taking my house. They were sitting at my table, drinking wine from my glasses, and talking about changing the locks on me. I stood there in the cold, trying to breathe. I felt like I was outside my own body. After a few minutes, I walked up to the door, used my key, and let myself in. The music stopped. Everyone froze. My mom's smile dropped instantly. What are you doing here? I said nothing. Just looked at all of them. At the decorations. The food on the table. My family, pretending I didn't exist. Aaron tried to play it off. Didn't know you were coming back so soon. I said, yeah. I bet you didn't. My mom started with the fake sweetness. Sarah, we were just, save it, I said. Then I walked to the hall closet, grabbed the stack of mail that had been piling up, and started flipping through it. They'd changed some of the billing addresses. A gas bill with my dad's name. A cable bill with Aaron's. There it was in black and white. They were erasing me from my own life. That night, I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I just packed a bag, locked my bedroom door, and slept with my phone in my hand. The next morning, I went straight to a real estate lawyer. I explained everything. Showed her the trust documents, the bills, the messages. She was stunned. She said what they did might be legal, but it was also potentially breach of fiduciary duty if they misrepresented the trust's intent or coerced me. We're working on reversing the trust and removing them as co-trustees. But that's not the end. They don't know yet. They think they've won. They think I'm going to walk away. They have no idea what's coming. I didn't go back to the house after that day. I stayed in a hotel near downtown Portland while I waited to hear back from the lawyer. I needed space. I needed to think. The lawyer, Megan, was fast. Within 3 days, she confirmed what I had feared. They had full trustee powers due to the wording in the trust. It was designed so that if I was emotionally unstable or acting irrationally, they could take over. The problem? There was no real definition of what that meant. It was vague and subjective. A trap. She said, they built this to make you look crazy if you push back. But we can fight it. I've seen worse. Meanwhile, I started receiving texts from my mom. We just want to talk. You're being dramatic. Let's be reasonable, Sarah. This is why we didn't include you in the first place. I didn't answer. Then I got an email. It was from Aaron. I didn't even know he knew how to write a full paragraph. We just want what's fair. You've had everything handed to you your whole life. This is about balance. Mom and Dad are getting older. They deserve a place to live. You're still young. You'll bounce back. Bounce back. From having my own house stolen out from under me? Then I got another email. This time from the family's lawyer. Not Megan, their lawyer. Apparently, they had activated the trustee clause, claiming I was emotionally unstable and hostile. They said I had abandoned the property and displayed signs of aggressive and irrational behavior during the holidays. That I refused to communicate in a civil manner. And the worst part? They attached a statement signed by Aaron. It said that on Christmas Day, I stormed into the home yelling and threatening to call the police, that I threw a wine glass, and that I refused to leave the premises, causing emotional distress to family members. None of that happened. It was a lie. A complete fabrication. They were building a case to paint me as unstable. So they could keep the house. So they could legally force me out. I showed all of it to Megan. She stared at the screen for a few seconds before shaking her head. They're smart, she said. Dirty, but smart. I asked her what we could do. She said, we start collecting. Every voicemail, every text, every neighbor willing to say they saw you calm that night. You'll need more than words. We need to flip this on them. So I made calls. I talked to Carol. I talked to another neighbor who had seen me come home that night and quietly enter through the back. I got screenshots of text messages. I even had receipts showing I left town the day before Christmas and returned late Christmas Day, meaning I couldn't have been harassing them all week like they claimed. Megan started building a counterclaim for trustee misconduct and breach of trust. But the more we dug, the weirder things got. She pulled public records on the trust and the house filings. That's when she found something we hadn't expected. 2 weeks before Christmas, my parents had filed a quitclaim deed transferring the house from the trust to just themselves. They didn't even wait for legal proceedings. They were acting like it was already done. And the notary who stamped the documents? Megan said the signature looked off. It was supposed to be done at a county clerk's office. But Megan found out the notary listed had been retired for over a year. It was forged. Now we had real leverage. Megan contacted a private investigator to confirm the notary never signed anything. We got a signed affidavit from the retired notary stating she had never witnessed any transfer, never stamped that document, never met my parents. I had them now. They crossed a legal line. But it wasn't over. That night, I got a call from Aaron. I let it go to voicemail, and I saved every word. He said, "You think you're smart? You think you can fight us? You don't even know how deep this goes. They've been planning this for over a year. You're not going to win. Just walk away. Sell it, take the money, and leave." That last part stuck with me. They've been planning this for over a year. That's when I went through my old emails and messages. Looked at the way they slowly wormed their way into my finances. My dad had offered to help set up the new utility accounts when I moved in. My mom had helped find my insurance provider. Aaron even suggested I use a tax preparer, his friend, worked for last year. I never thought anything of it. They had been positioning themselves for this moment to cut me out. But they made a mistake. They thought I'd break. Instead, I started turning over every stone. I got my bank to pull old IP logs for access to my mortgage account. One of them had logged in from my parents' home Wi-Fi last year. Unauthorized. I got call logs showing when I was in another city, proving I couldn't have done half the things they were claiming. I even dug up old group chats from last Christmas when I hosted, showing they had asked me to host it at my house and said it was our new family tradition. That directly contradicted their claims of always living there. Megan was building a case so solid it could crack pavement. Then something weird happened. One morning, I checked the security app for my home cameras. I hadn't looked in a while. I assumed the system was offline. But it wasn't. The backdoor cam, hidden in the light fixture, was still active. I hit play on a clip from 3 nights before. It showed Erin and my dad standing in the backyard, smoking. My dad said, if she pushes this, we burn it down. Let the insurance pay out. Then we split it 3 ways. Erin nodded. She's not gonna win. You and Mom raised her too soft. I downloaded that video and sent it straight to Megan. That night, I got another voicemail from my mom. Sarah, please call me. I think we should talk. We're worried about you. We don't want to involve lawyers. We can figure this out. Family doesn't sue each other. That's not what we do. Right. Family doesn't forge signatures. Or steal homes. Or plan arson. I haven't responded. Megan's preparing the lawsuit. I'm staying quiet. They still don't know what I have. But they will. Very soon. I didn't sleep much that week. Knowing that your own parents are talking about burning your house down does something to your brain. I kept replaying that camera footage over and over. Every time I hit play, it felt more surreal. At this point, Megan said we were well within the grounds to file a criminal complaint. But she advised we hold off for 1 more week while she got everything finalized and the private investigator finished verifying some things. The waiting was the worst part. That's when the next twist hit me in the face. It was a Thursday afternoon. I had just gotten back to the hotel after work. There was a letter waiting at the front desk for me. Hand-delivered. No return address. Inside was a single page. No signature. Just one typed line. Check the backyard shed. That was it. I didn't know what to think. My first thought was it was a prank. My second thought was that it was from someone trying to scare me. But the way it was written, it felt serious. I called Carol. I asked if the shed behind my house was still there. She said yes, but that it looked like someone had been going in and out of it a lot. Erin, mostly. So that night, I drove over, parked a block away again, snuck around back like before, and went into the shed. It was locked with a cheap new padlock. I popped it open with a bolt cutter I brought. I stepped inside. Cold, dark, smelled like paint and dust. There were boxes in the back. 2 of them were sealed with duct tape. I opened the first one. Inside were folders. Dozens of them. All labeled with names. Most weren't mine. Each folder had things like old bills, social security numbers, past due notices, even old bank statements. Some were from people I didn't even recognize. The second box had something even worse. A printer. A scanner. Multiple packs of blank checks. All stacked neatly. And a clipboard with what looked like forged signatures next to printouts of different deeds and forms. I took pictures of everything. Then I called Megan. She didn't even hesitate. Get out. Now. Don't take anything. Just photos. I'll call a contact in law enforcement. You just get out of there. I left. Fast. Turns out my parents weren't just screwing me over. They'd been using identity theft to access information from relatives, old friends, even neighbors. Creating fake documents. Applying for things in other people's names. Megan said it looked like some kind of long-running fraud ring. She said, your house might have just been the tip of the iceberg. By the next morning, Megan was on the phone with the DA's office. We submitted everything. And then, just when I thought it couldn't go any deeper, Megan called again. You're not going to believe this. She had tracked down the original lawyer who supposedly helped file the trust paperwork, the one my parents claimed handled everything. That lawyer had no idea who I was. He said, I've never worked with anyone by that name. I don't even do real estate trusts anymore. Turns out, the documents had used his name and license number, but the contact info and email were faked. My parents had used a fake lawyer. Megan immediately filed an emergency injunction to freeze any changes to the title. She called it one of the dirtiest frauds I've seen in years. But there was more. Erin had recently started a new LLC, registered under his name, and listed the house's address as the business location. They weren't just planning to live in my home. They were planning to use it to launch a shell business. Probably to clean money. Or maybe to run scams. Who knows? That's when it clicked. Everything they'd done over the last year, the utilities, the trust, the name changes, it wasn't just about controlling me. It was about turning my home into a front for something bigger. Something illegal. I felt sick. These weren't just bad parents. These were criminals. Hiding behind family ties. And here's where it gets even worse. The weekend before we planned to serve them, Megan got a tip from her investigator. Someone had been looking into my employment. My HR department got a call from a concerned family member claiming I had been embezzling funds at work, that I had a drinking problem and was under investigation for fraud. They gave my employer a fake name. But the details? They were all true to me. They knew where I worked, who my manager was. They had enough info to make the lie sound real. My job called me in for a meeting. Thankfully, I already had Megan on retainer. She joined the Zoom call and shut it down hard. I explained everything. I sent them copies of the legal filings. I kept my job, but I was shaken. That wasn't just a smear. That was an attempt to destroy me completely. They didn't want just the house. They wanted me ruined. Gone. Out of the way. That night, I got one more voicemail from my dad. He sounded calm. Too calm. Sarah, we've been patient. But you need to let this go. We can still settle this quietly. You're not thinking clearly. Family doesn't betray family. That's the line they kept going back to. Family. But what they don't know is how far I'm willing to go to fight back. They thought I'd walk away. They thought I'd disappear. They thought they knew me. They were wrong. The morning of the confrontation, Megan handed me a small manila envelope with a hard glint in her eye. Don't open it, she said. You won't need to. Just hand it to them when the time comes. I asked what it was. She said, insurance. You'll know when. That day, I put on a clean blazer, tied my hair back, and walked into the house I hadn't stepped foot in since Christmas, my house. Megan, the private investigator, a rep from the district attorney's office, and 2 uniformed officers were parked around the corner, waiting on my signal. We had a court order and a judge-signed motion. But Megan said she wanted to give me the choice. You want to take this the clean way? She asked. Or the hard way? I said, let's see how they act when they're exposed. So I walked in alone. They were all in the living room, my mom on the couch with a wine glass, Aaron in sweatpants holding a phone, my dad by the fireplace looking like a retired villain. They didn't look surprised. They looked annoyed. My mom was the first to speak. Sarah, this has to stop. I stood at the edge of the room and said, you forged documents. Lied to my employer. Changed the locks on me. Called me unstable. You stole my house. My dad sighed like he was the victim. We were trying to protect the family. Aaron chuckled. And look where it got us. I took a deep breath. Then I reached into my bag and pulled out the envelope Megan had given me. I placed it on the coffee table. No yelling. No drama. You open that. Read it out loud. Then we're done. Aaron scoffed. What is this? A love letter. He tore it open. Started reading. Silence. Then his face turned pale. It was a printed transcript from the security cam footage. Him and my dad in the backyard. Talking about insurance fraud. Talking about burning the place down. My mom leaned forward, grabbed it from him, scanned it. Her hand started to shake. This is taken out of context. No, it's not, I said. The camera got audio. Full conversation. Yours too, Dad. Aaron looked at me, then at the door. You can't prove anything. It was a joke. I stepped aside and waved. Megan walked in with 2 cops behind her. My dad stood up fast. You didn't have to bring them. We could have talked this out. Megan didn't say a word. She handed him the court order. Then turned to my mom and said, you've got 15 minutes to vacate the premises. After that, any personal items will be inventoried and returned later. My mom actually started crying, not out of guilt, but pure rage. How could you do this to us? We're your parents. You'd bring strangers into our home? I stared at her. This was never your home. You lied. You forged. You nearly destroyed my career. You talked about committing insurance fraud. You weren't protecting me. You were trying to erase me. She pointed at Megan. We did everything for her. We gave her everything. I laughed. I don't know why, it just came out. Gave me everything? You took everything. And you did it with a smile. Aaron looked panicked now. We'll sue. We'll say you tricked us. We'll say, Megan cut in. You can try. But the police are already reviewing the materials from the shed. Might want a lawyer up. That was it. That was the moment. My dad sat back down, defeated. Aaron went dead silent. My mom was shaking, jaw clenched like she was trying to swallow glass. Megan gave them space, told the officers to let them pack quietly. I walked out onto the porch. Carol, my neighbor, was already waiting on her steps. She just said, good. That's all. One word. She knew. The whole street probably knew something was off. 15 minutes later, they left with 3 suitcases and a lot less confidence. No screaming. No threats. Just quiet, cold air. After they were gone, I went inside. It didn't feel like home right away. It felt like a shell. A stage that had been used for a sick play. I sat on the couch, my couch, and cried for about 20 minutes. No big sobbing breakdown. Just silent tears. Not even because of what they did, but because I let them. I let them charm me. manipulate me. I signed the trust papers. I let them back in. I thought they wanted a relationship. I thought they had changed. But they didn't. They just got better at hiding it. In the weeks that followed, the DA launched a deeper investigation. Turns out my parents had been doing small-time financial scams for years, mostly identity fraud, shady investments under fake LLCs, tax evasion. Megan said it might take years to unravel, but they'd be lucky to avoid charges. Aaron vanished for a while. I heard through an old friend that he moved to Nevada. No word on whether he started another fake business. Wouldn't surprise me. My parents made one last attempt to contact me. A handwritten letter from my mom. It wasn't an apology. It was a guilt bomb. You've ruined this family. You'll regret this when we're gone. One day, you'll understand the sacrifices we made for you. I didn't respond. Instead, I donated the letter to the shredder. Carol came over one evening with a casserole. She said, "I'm sorry you had to go through all that. But I'm proud of you." I didn't say much. Just nodded. Megan stayed on as my estate lawyer. We fixed the trust. The house is fully back in my name. We installed new security, changed all the locks, wiped every old account. It's been 8 months now. Some nights, I walk from room to room, touching the walls, the windows, the doorknobs. Not to check on anything. Just to remind myself it's mine. All of it. Mine. I lost my family. Or maybe I finally saw the truth about who they were. Either way, I gained something more important. Myself. I'm not hopeful. Not yet. I don't feel strong every day. But I'm not scared anymore. And I'm never signing anything without a lawyer again.